Hello everyone and welcome to Camp Literature League. My name is Chad Horner. Today I will be discussing Johnathan Swift's book titled Gulliver's Travels. Firstly, I would like to ask you a question. Imagine being in a world where tiny people, not 6 inches high, rule the land. In the same world, but in a different part, giants tower 60 feet above yourself. And in yet another part, civilized and knowledgeable horses are the masters, while primitive humans act as servants. Gulliver's Travels, written in 1726 by Johnathan Swift, tells a fantastical tale of just that. It is what some might call a travel or adventure story. Some people, reading it as children, might view the book as simply a masterful adventure tale, nothing more. But Johnathan Swift intended it to be more than that. Gulliver's Travels is a satirical work just as much as a high adventure book. Johnathan Swift uses satire, which is still very relevant today, even though the 16th century context is not. Johnathan Swift was born on November the 30th, 1667 in Dublin, Ireland. He had interesting literary connections, some distant and some more immediate. Some of his more famous relatives included John Dryden, Sir Walter Raleigh, Francis Godwin, Sir William Davenant, and surprisingly William Shakespeare. His uncle, Thomas Swift, married a daughter of the poet and playwright William Davenant, who was in turn the godson of William Shakespeare. He attended Dublin University, but as he was studying for his master's degree, a period of political unrest forced him to return to England. He began to work as a private secretary for Sir William Temple, who was a friend of Swift's uncle. In 1689, he experienced his first period of Meniere's disease, which is a disorder of the inner ear that results in vertigo, headaches, and nausea. This disorder stayed with him the rest of his life, and the symptoms worsened as he grew older. His employer, Sir William Temple, died in 1699, and so Swift changed jobs. First, he appealed to King William, falsely thinking that Temple's connection with him would promise him a royal position. This terribly failed, and after yet one more failed job, he finally obtained the position of Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, Ireland. He began to publish works and became well known in literary circles. In 1713, he formed the Scriblerus Club with some of his best known writers of the 16th century. Their purpose was to satirize the writings of authors they disliked. They decided to ridicule travel books, which were popular at the time, and Swift was apparently given the job. His work became the basis of Gulliver's Travels. So now let's dip in to Gulliver's Travels. In Part 1, Chapter 3, Swift gives an example of satire by writing that the Emperor of Lilliput chooses his important royal court positions by having the candidates dance and perform on a tightrope. Of course, no nation in Europe selected their candidates that way. But the King in England did not choose public officers on skill, but on how well the candidate could put money into the pockets of the rich and famous people. This ridicules the King of England, George III, who was in power at that time. Swift mocks politicians in Part 1, Chapter 4, among many others, by commenting that the tiny people, the Lilliputians, started a feud about which end was the right end to break an egg on. Lilliput is parallel to England, and Lilliput's rivaling nation, Blefuscu, parallel to France. With this part of the story, Swift satirizes the unnecessary fighting between England and France. Up till now, the type of satire that Swift uses is political satire. Now, in Gulliver's third and fourth journeys, Swift changes his satire from focusing on political banter to humanity as a whole. In Gulliver's fourth journey to the land of houyhnhnms. Swift's satire is so sharp, so piercing, that its meaning cannot be mistaken. The houyhnhnms are civilized horses, fully able to comprehend complicated ideas, and rather surprisingly very intelligent. They even have a sort of hierarchy, much like 16th century England, with a master of the household, his children, and even other horses who are clearly defined as servants. They keep animals they call yahoos as a sort of lesser servant. These yahoos are rather deformed, looking at first glance like a modified cross between an ape and a man. At first Gulliver takes them for another odd species of animal, like all the others he has found on his other journeys. But as the houyhnhnms point to Gulliver, repeating the word yahoo, he realizes with horror that the deformed yahoos are actually humans. Their manners are disgusting, their appearance filthy, and yet they are still humans. Gulliver stays in the land of houyhnhnms for several years, and in that time his horror and disgust of all humankind grows to an immense extent. Finally he is given the chance to go back to England, and when he boards a ship with a crew and a captain, he can barely sit down with the Englishmen. For the rest of his life he can hardly bear the company of other humans. After 5 years he is able to, at least, tolerate them to a certain extent. His favourite person is the groom who cares for his horses. In this way Swift makes a harsh statement about the state of humankind. The point that Swift is making is that humankind as a whole generally thinks itself grand and superior to all other species. While we are quite superior to other animals, we are perhaps not as intelligent and perfect as we might like to think. I think that the more intelligent we are, the more capable we are of doing evil and being, as Swift might say, filthy in word and deed. Thank you very much for watching this new book review on Gulliver's Travels. I've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you. Bye.